Hey guys, so I'm going to show you the cell cycle today, and I'm going to talk about the different checkpoints. So the first thing you need to know is that this is all about autosomal cells. So if you remember, autosomal cells are those that are body cells. So they don't have anything to do with sexual reproduction. So they're not the gametes, not the sperm or the egg. These are just body cells. What happens is when they get big enough and they start to run out of room, they get the signal to divide and make more. So let's take a look at what that looks like. If you were to draw the cell cycle as an hour, so we'll pretend that that's like a clock, the first maybe, 20 minutes of it, the cell is in what's called G1 or gap 1. And this phase is actually all about growth. So the cell is growing, it's doing its cell stuff, it has enzyme activity, things like that are going on. The second part of this cycle is the S phase. The S phase stands for synthesis. And this is a really important phase because what's happening is you're replicating the DNA. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, like what happens when you replicate DNA, but basically you make an exact copy, so you now have two sets of DNA, complete sets of DNA in the cell. The third thing that happens here is G2, so it's gap 2. And in this one, you start copying all of the organelles so that you have enough of everything to make a second cell. And you're then, once you pass that, you're ready to go into what's called the M phase. And you guys have probably talked a little bit about this. This is mitosis, and there are 4 phases in mitosis. There's prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. So those are the 4 steps, and then the final thing that happens is cytokinesis, and that is where the cell actually divides. So that's a basic look at the cell cycle. If you kind of take a look at all 3 of these right here, we call those 3 together interphase, because that is where the cell spends most of its time, is in interphase. The last part here, the M phase, is really actually pretty quick. If you were looking at it in a clock, it's probably only about 10 minutes of the hour. The rest of it is interphase. So I hope that helps. The next video we're going to look at takes a look at checkpoints, and then we'll also look at mitosis in more detail.